Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjari Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, back today with day 87 of 100 Days of Ayurveda. So I'm just going to hang on here for a few minutes to make sure that a few of you can hop on online, and then we can start a nicer discussion on Vata balancing mechanisms. Okay, I've just changed my uh, FaceTime camera and the world suddenly seems brighter. So if you are watching this live, say a quick hi. If you are watching this as a replay, put a hashtag as replay. At any point of time, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you have. And if you haven't yet figured out your body type or your personality type or your prakriti, you can go onto my website www.manjirinarkani.com and you will get a dosha quiz there where you can figure it out. Hi Melissa, nice to see you. Hi Mary Alice, nice to see you. Hello Ushaji, nice to see you. So thank you for watching this live, and today we're going to talk about Vata dosh balancing diet, right? So what exactly are these doshas and what exactly does Vata or Vata dosh mean? So dosh is the word, means this is the energy in your body which, when out of balance, it's going to throw your body out of balance. And this is one energy that's responsible in carrying out various functions when it is in a balanced state, right? So when we talk about the five main elements or the Panchabhabutas that form the entire universe, they also make the fabric of your human body, right? They're not just forming the universe, but they're forming everything around us. So space or ether, fire, um, air, fire, water, earth, they're making everything around us, right? And they're also making our bodies, they're also making animals. So everything in the universe is derived from these five main elements. Um, and these combine within each other, and they also exist in like a nice balanced way to create certain things called doshas. Dosh literally means that when it's out of balance, it's going to throw your body out of balance. And there are three doshas: vata, pitta, and kapha, right? So Vat dosh is something that's related to movement. Any kind of movement that happens in your body is related to this Vata dosh. And everybody has Vata in your body. So there is nobody on the planet that's not going to have absolutely any Vata, right? But when it's dominant in your personality, that's when we call you a Vata type or a Vata dominant type or Vat Prakriti, right? And when this is dominant in your body, you should take extra care to balance it, because it's already dominant. Now, this has a tendency to go out of balance and throw your body into total chaos, right? So, any dosha that plays a part in your Prakriti has a tendency to go out of balance easily if you're performing a diet and a lifestyle that's not conducive to balancing it. So the same thing happens with Vata dosh. This Vata dosh is made up of air and ether or space, and it is extremely light. It is really mobile. You cannot see it with your naked eyes, and it's responsible for a lot of function in the body, like respiration, like even the circulation. Any movement, right? Even getting rid of constipation, any movement in your body, expelling fetus, when you're after pregnancy, like in 9 months. So any synapses carried out in the body, all your neurological functions are under the domain of this Vata dosh, right? So there are certain signs and symptoms that tell us that it is getting out of balance. And what imbalance of Vata looks like is you might have nervousness, you might get anxiety, panic attacks, or excessive fear. You might have twitches or tremors or spasms in your muscles. You might have consistently low energy and be fatigued easily. You can have any neurological conditions like pain or tingling or numbness, right? You might have lowered immunity. There could be dry, flaky skin. Dryness is characteristic if your nails are getting brittle, you're getting split ends on your hair, your hair is falling off. Extreme dryness, that's a sign of Vata imbalance. Constipation, excess bloating, gas, or hard stools and constipation, right? Erratic appetite. So sometimes you're hungry, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you digest, sometimes you know, right? So any kind of irregularity when it comes to digestion or appetite or sleep is going to create Vata dosh, and is also going to be a resultant of imbalanced Vata dosh, right? And this also leads to low body weight. So people lose a lot of muscle mass. They also lose body weight in spite of trying to gain it. They have a hard time gaining weight. And insomnia is also very common. There is interrupted sleep. You're not going to be sleeping nicely or get good quality sleep for a long time if your Vata dosh is out of balance. And you could also wake up in the early morning hours between 2 to 6. And you might feel spacey, you might be forgetful, you might feel scattered, and you might go on a thinking spree. Like your brain just starts overworking and you're constantly thinking, and you're getting a lot of anxiety and you can't just stop your mind, right? So these are signs that your Vata dosh is out of balance. Now we're going to discuss certain dietary methods to bring this dosha back in balance. But before that, I want you to let me know what signs of Vata imbalance are you facing in your life right now. So Mary Alice, Melissa, Usha ji, Michelle is here, Ankita is here as well. Are you experiencing any kind of Vata imbalance in your body right now? If you can please post the signs here, I can talk about specific solutions for those conditions as well, right? So please feel free to post the signs and symptoms that you are facing right now. So I can give you a general guidance. I can't give you one-on-one Ayurvedic consultation, but I can definitely help you, figure out a few things, right? So today we're going to talk about certain foods that can cause Vata aggravation or Vata imbalance. We're also going to talk about certain foods that are going to ground you and balance you. And we're going to talk about certain dietary principles to follow. Right. So Ankita says constant bloating. Yeah. Bloating definitely is a sign of excess vata or excess gas, sometimes happening because of the vata imbalance. So most definitely that is one sign. And cracking joints, so if your neck cracks or if your joints crack, if your fingers start cracking, that is another sign. Now, this vata dosh is something that is dry and that is cold and that is pretty swift. And in your body also you will see excessive dryness, you will also see lack of hydration, you will also see um, lack of lubrication, right, in your body, and that also shows vata imbalance. So sometimes stools are mushy. Mushy stools can be caused by other things as well. Typically, if it's just vata by itself, it's going to create issues like hard stool and constipation, right? Anxiety twitches are 100% vata sign. Disturbed sleep, definitely tongue quivers, any kind of bloating is a sign of vata dosh imbalance. Weight loss is a characteristic sign of vata imbalance, right? You could have vata imbalance even though you're overweight or obese, right? So we are talking about the prakriti and we're also discussing a bit about the vikruti. It gets a bit complex sometimes. It's not really that complex, but when this vata is out of balance, it can also go for a person who has overweight. Lack of energy, hair loss, 100%. So that is a sign of vata imbalance, right? So there are certain foods that people eat that are going to create this vata imbalance. Dry skin, fatigue, hard stool, constant pain in the joint. Yes, exactly. So these are signs of vata imbalance that you're facing. I want to make sure my phone is silent. Yeah. Okay. So dry skin, fatigue, hard stools, constant pain. Yeah, that is a sign of vata imbalance for sure. Right. So to be able to balance vata, you have to stop eating dry foods like cereals is one common thing, right? So any dried cereals, any popcorn, any corn chips, or anything that dries you out is the first thing that needs to get out of your diet, right? So if you're having a bowl of cereal or granola or something because it's healthy or fiber, right? Excessively fiber, like maybe bran buds or something, that's also going to, because of the high fiber content and not enough nutrients, right? It can also aggravate this vata dosh, and it's going to create excess vata in the body. So that is the first thing you have to avoid. Avoiding a lot of raw green juices, which could be harder for you to digest, and they could also make you spacey. So that is the other thing that you need to avoid, right? And anything cold for that matter. So if you are having lots of cold foods, water straight out of the refrigerator, it's also going to impact your digestion and increase that bloating, increase that vata imbalance. So these are the three main things that you need to avoid right away if you are suffering from any kind of vata imbalance, right? Now, some specific foods to incorporate in your diet if you are having this vata imbalance. You can have sweet tasting foods, not necessarily refined sugar, but sweet tasting foods in Ayurveda can be understood as anything that are really grounding and nourishing. And even meats or milk are considered to be sweet taste or madhur rasatmak in nature. So having a lot of grounding foods like, grains or sweet potatoes and other root vegetables, or minimizing beans as well. If you are really bloated, beans are harder to digest, and beans for majority of part can cause vata aggravation. Mung beans are the best ones among the beans to digest, but other beans like kidney beans or chickpeas can cause a lot of gas and bloating, so avoid that as well. Root vegetables are fantastic for grounding this vata, right? The other thing that really helps ground vata is fats. Good quality fat, ghee is amazing, right? If you have excess inflammation, or excess vata aggravation, sometimes in my clients, I'll also ask them to eat bone marrow just to instantly ground them, right? One spice that works fantastically is garlic. So garlic is really good for vata balancing. Turmeric is extremely good for vata balancing. For someone who's bloated, one great thing that's going to help is fennel, right? So fennel or body soap or body shape in Marathi. So fennel seeds, you can chew on those, and they are anti-bloating. Asafoetida is another spice that's anti-bloating, right? So you can start incorporating these foods as a part of your diet, and make sure you're always eating warm foods. Make sure you're not eating something that is really cold and dry. You have to eat something that's sweet tasting or sour or is a bit salty, is also oily, has good quality oils, not oily as in lots of fried foods, but really good quality, richer oils. Nuts and seeds also have good amounts of oils. So those definitely you can have to balance your vata. So oatmeal with ghee is definitely good if you're having vata imbalance, right? Coconut milk is a much better, milk if you're looking for dairy free option as compared to almond milk, because coconut milk is rich in fat. Whole cow's milk or goat's milk or any kind of organic milk is definitely good for balancing vata. Um, Most dairy is vata balancing in nature, right? So most of dairy helps balance vata. Massages and body therapies like applying massage, applying oil to your body also helps balance vata. So a lot of the times if milk is causing gas, one reason could be you're lactose intolerant. So if you are lactose intolerant, then ideally, you can try lactose free milk and see if that's an issue, right? The other thing you can do to make milk more digestible is always boil it, never have it cold out of the refrigerator, and also add a pod of green cardamom or elaichi when boiling it, and that makes milk better digestible. You can also add a pinch of turmeric to milk when you're having milk, and that will also make milk digestible, and you're not going to be as bloated or gassy. Now, on the other hand, if you are reacting to any of the milk proteins, so if you react to whey or casein, which are two of the milk proteins, you might have a hard time digesting milk, and that's when you need to give it up. But for most part, try green cardamom or elaichi, boil milk, add this cardamom, like 1 pot of crushed cardamom, and see if it's helping you balance, digest the milk better. So that's one, simple trick that you can try. Okay. So we talked about some foods that can ground and balance vata, right? Always make sure to eat cooked foods. A lot of raw foods are going to be harder on your digestion. Lots of salads, which are really popular as a diet food today to help you lose weight, can actually aggravate this vata dosh, right? So be a little bit mindful about what you're eating. And if you still love your salads and enjoy it, you can add some root vegetables to it, like cooked carrots or butternut squash, right? Winter squashes are really good to balance vata as well. So if your vata is out of balance, having some winter squashes is amazing. Increasing the fat content in your diet is extremely important, right? When it comes to vata imbalance. So avocado or ghee or olive oil, any kind of oil that you prefer, you can start adding. And I personally love ghee, right? I'm like a big fan of ghee. I eat lots of ghee myself. I feed lots of ghee to my husband as well. So even 2 to 3 tablespoons of ghee can work for you depending on your body type. Now, if you are a vata dominant person, right? If you are someone who has a lot of this vata dosh as a part of your dominant dosha, you're going to need a lot more fat and also a lot more hydration as compared to somebody else who's kapha or a pitta, right? So this is something that's important to understand. And fat is again not the problem. I have done a lot of videos on this. I've spoken about this n number of times. Since we all went on the low fat bandwagon, the rates of dementia are increasing, right? Alzheimer's, different cognitive issues, anxiety, like these are all at a peak, and all these neurological conditions are associated with an aggravated vata, right? So to be able to balance this excess vata in your system, you need to have good amounts of fat. Now, naturopathy diet suggests to avoid all animal products, including animal milk. Do you recommend or agree with it? I see every food on this planet can be a medicine or a poison depending on the person, right? So there is no one size fits all. If you can have, for a vata dominant person, whole milk can be one of the best medicines if they can digest it. But if they have a lot of digestive issues and are not digesting this milk, then it's not going to work well for you. If you're allergic or sensitive to this milk, it's going to create more inflammation. So I do not agree that you have to avoid everything all the time, right? And I don't know if naturopathy diet specifically asks you to avoid everything, because as a part of naturopathy or not naturotherapy, again there are going to be different schools of thoughts. So I don't really agree with that. Now Michelle is saying there's no gallbladder. So when a person does not have gallbladder, they cannot store this bile, right, which is stored in the gallbladder and which is then secreted in your small intestine, which helps break the fats down. So if you don't have a gallbladder, for most people, one thing you can do is have some enzymes that have ox bile that can help you digest better, right? So that's one suggestion you can try. Ox bile as an enzyme, you can get it in any health food store. So that's something to try out. So try it and let me know how it works. Adding bitter spices, right, also help with digestion of fat, or even adding pungent spices like turmeric. So anytime you have fattier meal, you want to make sure you're increasing your digestive enzymes. You're going to be able to digest it better, right? So always try to enhance your agni and really support your agni. Okay, so Michelle says she's a vegetarian. One of the things you can do is there are also some natural plant enzymes, lipase, or even trikatu is a herbal combination that is derived from three, long pepper, black pepper, and ginger, dried ginger. So that might help with digestion. I can't give you specific advice because I'm not really sure about your body type and what's going to be, exactly the one for you. But there are different enzymes. You can use plant based lipase enzymes. You can get plant enzymes which will help with digestion of fat as well. um, so there are so many different things you can try, right? Or even trikatu is a combination which is very popular in Ayurveda for digestive, and it helps increase your own digestive capacity. Now Ankita is asking me what's the best oil to use apart from ghee. Now again, that depends, right? So warming oil, like if your body is extremely cold and if your vata is extremely through the roof, sesame oil works really well. Also, mustard oil is used in some people, which can also balance vata, but these are both increasing the pitta, right? Coconut oil has medium chain fatty acids and can be digested better. So, personally, for my own consumption, and because I have a tendency for my pitta to get out of balance, I prefer coconut oil, which is very kind of natural to me. But olive oil can be used as well. So, the best oil is the one that suits your body, right? Um, Yeah. So, Michelle, yeah. So, Trikatu is something you can try, or you can try different digestive enzymes. You have to experiment a little bit and see what works for you. Right. So, those are a few things that, you have to really figure out what works for you. Now, certain dietary principles to follow on a Vata balancing diet, right? So, when you are trying to balance this Vata dosh, naturally, the one thing you have to do is stop grazing throughout the day, right? I see so many people who are, vata dominant in nature, and they're eating all the day, right? All day they're going to be munching on something and eating a little bit portion here, eating a little bit portion there, right? So the big challenge that happens when you are grazing all the time is you are not digesting your food well. Your digestive fire is not ignited well enough for you to be able to digest the actual meal, right? Because it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 hours or even more to be able to digest a single meal, depending on how strong your digestion is. And if you keep eating throughout the day, it's going to impact your digestion. So for a vata person, the one thing is, stop snacking in the middle of the food day, and also make sure that you're having meals at the same time. So a vata person thrives on regularity, right? You have to follow the routine, you have to follow the timings diligently, whether it's the sleep schedule, you sleep at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time, or eat meals at the same time every day. And this will help your digestion. This will also help bring your vata back into balance. Shiv Shankar is asking me oils for external application. So, most commonly, again, almond oil is really nourishing if you want for external application. Coconut oil, olive oil can all be safely used for external application, right? But again, there are certain medicated oils in Ayurveda, like for example, people who have a lot of joint pains and aches, there is something called Mahanarayan Tel, which can also be used. And there are so many oil formulations, that can be used for external application. But most generally, if you're asking me, you can use sesame oil, you can use ghee on your feet, right? So if you have burning sensations, if you're having a hard time falling asleep, even taking a little bit of ghee and massaging the soles of your feet at bedtime are going to relax you, ground you, and help you sleep. And this is one trick or tip, whatever you like to call it, that really helps balance vata, right? So try to massage your feet every night before you go to sleep, and that's really going to help ground you, right? Also, a warm milk. Any You can have coconut milk if you want to go for a non-dairy milk. Adding some nutmeg also helps ground you, right? So nutmeg is also going to help you. Cardamom can also help you. So you can have that a little before bedtime, not at 10 if you're going to bed at 10:15, but something like 8 o'clock ish, so that's going to help ground you and help with sleep as well. So this is another simple remedy for vata, and especially for insomnia, right? So dietary principles on a vata diet is, first is, always make sure you're not grazing throughout the day and eating at fixed times. always eat warm foods, right? Avoid too many bitter, pungent, or astringent foods. So don't eat too many beans, right? If you're looking for protein, an example would be, quinoa, which is a high protein grain, is going to be a better option than chickpeas or kidney beans if you're looking for that specific protein part, right? So these are some ways, you can definitely tweak your diet into a vata balancing diet. And that's the beauty about Ayurvedic diet. It's not a specific cuisine related diet. You can definitely try any diet, and make it into an Ayurvedic diet. For chronic condition of gas and acidity is no longer gaps between. So again, Shiv Shankar, fruit fasting, you can do it depending on what your body type is. That also will determine what kind of fruits to eat. An example is, if you have a lot of acidity related to pitta, having acidic sour fruits might not really help you, right? So yeah, so you have to really figure out, you have to work with an Ayurvedic practitioner or a doctor and really figure out your diet, and that can help you because fruit fasting for a day, depending on the kind of fruit you eat, it might help, it might also increase your acidity, right? So again, with Ayurveda, it's all about customizing the diet to you, right? We can't really generalize a lot. And the condition of gas, fermented foods, which we talk about a lot in today's world, right? We talk about probiotics. So having some probiotic content in your diet, either in the form of sauerkraut, pickles, kimchi, or fermented foods like even dosas, or any kind of idlis and all, they're also fermented foods. So the fermentation helps build your gut microbiome, which has seen to have a lot of functions in your neurology today. So right from balancing your mood, neurotransmitters like, helping with the secretion of serotonin and dopamine, and different functions are attributed to the gut brain, which is your second brain, right? So always, your gut is an important part of this vata in the body, right? We call apan vayu, or the vayu that has a downward movement, that's situated in your gut, and you always have to protect it, right? So some amount of fermented foods, if you can handle, dairy products, buttermilk made traditionally, is a fantastic way to aid your digestion and also support your gut microbiome, right? So when we talk about dairy, not all dairy is extremely bad for everyone. You have to figure out if it's working for you or not. And if it works for you, sometimes it works really well. So these are a few dietary principles to follow. So always eat warm foods, always eat, moist foods, don't eat a lot of dry foods, always have good amounts of fat, always have grounding foods, right? And don't overeat. Like even for a vata, the digestion is going to be weaker. So if you overeat, you're going to destroy your digestive fire again, right? So these are few things to help with vata dosha balance. I'm going to share my website link right here so you can find your dosha quiz. If you've never taken a quiz about your body type, you can check out the resources section and you will be able to find this um, dosha under the resources section, and you can do the quiz and figure out, and if you're looking for more support and really trying to understand your body type, there's also this Prakriti master class that I've hosted some time back. It's a 2-hour master class, and it teaches you everything about your body type, what kind of foods work for you, what kind of foods to avoid. So it is like a comprehensive, master class about everything, to do with your dosha type or your prakriti or your innate nature. So thank you for watching this live. Thank you for always supporting me and being here, right? So I hope you learned a lot about vata balancing today. If you have a friend that has signs of vata imbalance, or if you have a family member that has signs of vata imbalance, feel free to share this video with them. Feel free to tag them in this video so they can watch it as well. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing the Ayurveda nutrition series, right? So I'll be back tomorrow to talk about Pitta balancing diet. Thursday, I'm going to talk about Kapha balancing diet. I have done two videos so far in the same series. I've talked about, Ayurvedic diet, what exactly it is, what it's not, and also 5 so-called healthy foods that could be unhealthy, right? So make sure you check out these videos. You can access all the missed videos on my Facebook page, YouTube page, or the Facebook group. So thank you once again for having this. Thank you, Dawn. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you everyone for watching this live. I will be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Another exciting thing is we have this Saturday's um, talk, which is going to be super exciting, which I'll be announcing soon. Thanks and have a fantastic night. Bye for now.